Today I'm going to show you my 2 keyframe trick for animating on-the-spot walk cycles through space and a 3-level hierarchy system that you can use for maximum flexibility in your scenes. Hey, welcome to Realtime Workflows. I'm MX Bell. I worked on Deadpool and Wolverine, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, 1917, Hobbs and Shaw, Wheel of Time, Little Mermaid, No Time to Die, tons more. What you're going to get on the channel are my pro tips and how I use Unreal Engine to make films. So let's get started. Let's make some stuff. See you down the road. Welcome back to Realtime Workflows. Let's get into this walk cycle business. I have mentioned this in passing in other videos, but I think it's worth its own video. So let's just get into it. So I've got this character I want him to move through this trench, and I've got an on-the-spot walk cycle of him walking with a gun. Okay, so on-the-spot walk cycles are good because you're then in control of where they move through space, which we like. Okay, that's good. But you have to make sure you get it right. So the simplest way to do this is to just and if you've seen me do the cameras, this is the same thing that I do with cameras. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a keyframe on his transform, and then we're going to move him kind of an arbitrary distance down here, roughly around 2 strides. So if he's got his foot forward there, so that's about 2 strides. And then roughly we're going to push him about 2 strides over, so that'll be sort of 1, and then that'd be sort of 2. Okay. So once we've done that, we'll see that because of the default curves, it's actually gonna be slow to start with and then speed up. Now his walk is at a constant speed, so we need to make sure we've got our animation set to constant speeds. So we go to our sequencer curves in here, and we grab all these. I tend to go view normalize, get them all stacked on top. You can see the shape of them. We're gonna grab them all and change them to linear. And we're also, while we're here, and again, just get used to this muscle memory. 2 keyframes, linear keys, and then in here, curves, linear, and post, curves, linear. These are the infinity, pre-infinity and post-infinity. So what it's doing before and what it's doing afterwards. We want them to go in a straight line. So now that walk cycle will go forever that way beforehand, and it'll go forever this way afterwards with just 1 keyframe. But the problem we've got is, actually it's not too bad, to be fair. I've got pretty good at this, so I tend to do it first time even when I'm trying to do it wrong. So if these two weren't the right distance apart, then let's say they were closer, then overall his speed is faster, and you can see now he's sliding through space. And if they were too far apart, he'd be going too slow, and then his feet would be sliding on the ground like that. Okay, make it even more pronounced. Okay, so the trick is to just find kind of the right place that just makes it feel like his feet plant properly, and we can see him kind of move through the ground. Doesn't help that I've got this wonky ground, but that feels kind of right though. Okay, and that's it. So he'll just walk forever, and you've used 2 keyframes, which is really that's really efficient. All right, but let's say we want a bit more control. Okay, so here's our hierarchy level 1. Right, we're going to come back out of it. We're going to delete these curves now. We'll get rid of them. So he's walking back on the spot again. Right, what I want to do is I'm gonna kill his zero his everything. Zero out everything. Just for now. He's gone back over there. I'm gonna grab an actor, put him in here, and we're gonna call this his name. So his name's Freeman Mover. Okay, so you've probably seen me mention movers before. I did a video about attaching everything to everything else, so that you create these hierarchies that you can help move things around in. So what we're going to do now is just attach Freeman to our Freeman Mover. Okay, make sure that attachment lasts the whole way. And now we can move our Freeman Mover to here. Okay, and rotate it so he's in place where we want him. And now we can add a keyframe to our fella, and we move him in this direction. So roughly, let's see, 1, 2. Is that 2 steps? So and then roughly 1, 2 steps. Okay, and then again, take these, go linear and curves, linear, linear. So now he walks in a straight line, but look, he's going too slow. So we just bring this out, make it faster, bit better. So we've got the exact same thing we just had, but now we've got him walking off an origin point here in the mover, and we can grab the mover, and we can stick him anywhere we want. So let's say, actually, it needs to not be in this trench. He's going to be in this trench. He's going to be in this trench over here. Well, let's just fucking move him then, right? So we're just moving him around, and we can even re-aim him. And now he walks down that trench. Off he goes. So that's hierarchy level 1, a mover. Let's make it even cooler. So get rid of this. Let's go back to we'll go to our origin where we can actually see it happen. Now we'll create another actor, and we'll call it Freeman Turner. Okay. This hierarchy system goes like this. So our Turner is attached to our mover, and Freeman, our character, is attached to our Turner. So we just right click on this one and change it to Turner. They're both the same, both in the same place, so it's fine. Okay, so now we've got one that we can move him around as we know. We can aim him. Okay. So he's walking along here, let's say. He's actually not moving quite fast enough, never mind. And what we could do is we can actually bring our Turner. Let's bring our Turner. Let's say we want him to turn this corner. We bring our Turner over here, and if we were to just roll back our animation in translating forward, and if we were to just bring this back slightly, I mean, you can either do it up or down. Either way will work. So up or down changes the value, so he's further down, he's further back. But we want to do it so that when he gets to the Turner, like that, let's say. I want to get in there earlier, so let's do this. So now he walks along, and we can then take our Turner, and we can add a keyframe to it. And while he's over it, so practically probably about here, while he's over it, we can give it a little turn. So now, we've just, in the middle of the walk, we've just kind of given him a pivot. And it has to be while he's over the Turner, okay? It has to be like during that point where he's over the Turner. Otherwise, you know, if you turn this and he's over here, it looks weird. But you can do it while he's standing over the Turner, and suddenly he goes in a different direction. So that's our second level. We've got a Turner. All right. Now let's get maximum creativity here. You could leave it as that if you want. You can move this around anywhere in the level, and it'll constantly do that, and it'll turn when the Turner where the Turner is, and all that kind of stuff. The other thing you can do though is we could put him on a slider, and then all the movements are being driven by the actors, and it's not actually on the character, because the more we remove the animation from the character, the more flexibility we've got. So let's do that. Let's take this off, and we'll do one more. We'll reset all these. It's best to do this at 0 usually, so that everything's nice and simple, and we're just on it. And this one's going to be Freeman Slider. So we're just going to copy our animation here and add that to the slider. And so paste. So now we can see our slider moves, but that doesn't do anything yet because he's not attached. So we'll take Freeman and zero him out, remove the animation. So no animation on Freeman, completely zeroed out. And he's going to be attached to the slider. The slider is going to be the one that drives him forward. So Freeman slider. Okay, so now he moves forward. No animation on Freeman. We could remove his transform track. We've got nothing on him, just this animation clip. He's got no transforms. Our slider is going to be attached to our Turner. So we can go attach to Turner. Okay. And our turner is attached to the mover. So we know we've got 3 hierarchy levels, okay? So our turner, we can move anywhere we want, okay? And then we would offset and that's the point at which he's going to the path's going to turn. And all we're going to do is offset our animation to reflect it. So we can do it here. We can move it back and forth if we want. Just doing it right here because it's set to infinite. So we just move into these over, and then he can turn. And if you needed to move him kind of left or right, you've now got an option to do it on the character or on the slider. But I would recommend the slider just drives him forward, and the turner deals with the direction he's facing at a certain point. There's absolutely no reason why you couldn't, if you needed him to turn 2 corners, you could layer these hierarchies up so that he turns one and then goes in it, and that's a child of the next one, and then he turns it and he goes again. So the 3-part one is the most flexible. It's possibly overkill except in like specific situations. So for example, here I'm going to move everything with the mover to put him broadly into position, and we'll move our we've got our slider moving. We're going to move the turner down here to get the point at which he turns, and then on the turner we're going to give him usually do it when his feet are planted, and make sure so the turner should be under his feet basically. So we want to move the slider so that we've got the turner goes under his feet, and we can see the turner. Grab our curves, and you can move it up or down. Remember, so it's because it's just this one curve, so it does the same thing no matter what. Okay, and we want to put his foot down, and on that frame there, then we want to have his foot be over the turner, and then we can grab our turner, put a keyframe in, and then just here, look. And he's basically swiveled on this toe, and he turns the corner, and then he keeps on going. And if you needed to give him any further animation, we could do that. We could do that directly on the character because the character still has no animation on him. Let's move him now back where he's supposed to be, which is down here, where he is for my shot. So we drag the whole thing down, rotate it around. You're going to be here, and probably down a bit, I would think. Down a touch. There he is through the puddle. And our turn is going to go the opposite direction. So we'll just come into the sequence of curves and move this. So now he walks, he turns the corner. And we could do it, maybe make it steeper, and we could probably move our mover, all the way down here. And now we get probably get a bit more out of that turner as well there, I would say. To get a bit more, look. There we go. I would recommend that we then grab these and we put them in a folder, and we call it Freeman. There you go. That's today's lesson. I hope that was useful, and I use that quite a lot. And it's really flexible, and it saves you hard keying where someone is in a level, because quite often a client or a director or whoever is going to ask you, can you now move that to another trench, another location, move it somewhere else. And of course, if you follow my always be attaching ethos, then really you'd want everything also. So all the movers, the camera would also have a mover, and those movers, the camera mover and the character mover, would be attached to a global mover, so we can pick up the character and the camera in their same relationship with the animation and move it entirely somewhere else. That's how you do it. See you on the next one.